City Skyline 2 is getting closer and closer, and Paradox Interactive just released another feature highlight, and they covered how the economy and production work in the new game, and let me tell you, it's pretty interesting. With City Skylines 2 being built up from scratch, the developers had to redesign all of the systems, and now the economy isn't completely different than its predecessor City Skylines. It will operate somewhat like City Skylines did, but it won't exactly be the same. They wanted it to be harder, but not impossible. It will govern the households and its monies, resources, businesses being able to locate suitable land, available resources, connections, and the workforce. They designed the game to be more complex than City Skylines, but not too complex where you have to worry about everything in every possible second. They want you to be able to build a metropolis, not pinch pennies at every second. The economy is based on the real-life economic models, so that it feels more realistic. It's designed to balance itself out in most cases. The economic cycle is pretty simple. It's based off of various resources among the agents of your city, aka how much resources your households, businesses, and city services produce or use. As in any city, your city grows over time, therefore changing the flow of resources. When agents grow, they start to track their money and resources and make decisions on what to buy and sell based on their current situation. Each agent consumes some form of resource, and businesses consume resources to make other resources. The economic cycle at the core is based on zoning. For example, households look for homes and workplaces. Industry companies require access to resources, and commercial companies want to produce and sell products. There is a way to keep these different agents in check, if you want to put it that way. You can raise or lower taxes to encourage or discourage agents from moving in or producing. If there is too much of one resource, you can raise taxes to lower output production while also receiving a nice bit of cash for your city. This can also work in the opposite direction. If they aren't producing enough resources, then you can lower taxes to receive a production boost. When messing around with the economic cycle, you have to remain aware that the economy cannot circulate in a closed system, and it definitely just doesn't appear out of thin air. The source of money, rent, import payments, company profits, and player income just removes money from the economy. To fix this, the simulation uses money source in the form of paid rent, company profits, funds used by the player, and it then equally distributes it across the citizens and commercial buildings. The household is interested in homes in favorable areas. It uses land value, proximity to workplaces, schools, and leisure to decide if it's a good area for the citizens to live or not. Large families want large apartments or houses in low medium density areas, while small families are fine in high density areas with small apartments or low rent housing. They also want to take their cost to commute to work into account as well. Workplace pathfinding does consider the level of education of a citizen, and if it finds a job with the appropriate education level, it will be fine with having them to commute longer versus favoring a shorter commute to a lower education level workplace. There's also a small boost to workplaces with a lot of openings. This is to try and evenly spread the citizens across your city. This logic also applies to the leisure and shopping options. If the pathfinding costs, free time after work, travel, money after costs, and services needed don't allow them to pay rent after all of that, they'll have to move on to another location to find a suitable place to live. While they will consider moving out of the city, it's a lower chance than them moving in some other place inside the city that's either cheaper or better place for them to live. If the household is too poor to find a new place or leave the city, they will become homeless and live within a city park until that changes. Now moving on to the economy of industry. Industry looks for access to resources, ability to ship their products, workers to keep their business running, and the value of their production when they're trying to find a suitable location for their business. Industry does prefer lower land value due to them still having to pay rent. Industry has to order resources to be able to manufacture products, so they do use the cost of transportation when estimating a suitable place to found their business. The transportation costs are calculated using the weight of a resource and distance. The companies also need workers. When they are looking for workers, they consider the complexity or education level needed to work at the company. Industries will evaluate their current production, and they'll seek to maximize their income, which means they'll find the best number of employees based on production needs, which is based on the cost of goods, value of goods sold, wages, transportation costs, and rent or upkeep. When a company gains more profit, their building will level up, giving them a production boost with the same cost of production. As covered in the transportation feature, cheaper way to transport goods is through train or ship, which will encourage more industries to move into your city. We also have commercial businesses that allow our citizens to buy goods. They require products to sell, employees and citizens to buy their product. Commercial also favors being near a neighborhood, because they won't only be selling to that neighborhood, they'll be using citizens in that neighborhood to work at their location. Commercial companies import goods and buy goods locally, same way as industrial companies do, and they'll use the same logic as the industry does as well. They balance connections to products manufactured, customers, and also react to demand for different products. Commercial companies also look for employees the same way as industrial zones do. They also react to the current economic situation and level up when the store profit increases. Office companies are also directly affected by the economic cycle. They operate just like industrial companies do. Instead of physical resources, they produce immaterial goods, with an import of electronics and softwares and an output of software, telecom, banking, and media. Their only real obstacle is finding suitable employees for their business. Another crucial backbone to the economy in your city is production. You don't have to micromanage production in City Skylines 2, but you can deep dive into production and fine tune it, such as extracting resources will allow your industry cheaper access to them versus importing them from outside connection. The specialized industry creation process will operate similar to how it did in the industry DLC in City Skylines. You do want to make sure that resource production and consumption are balanced. If you overproduce, it won't benefit your city or its companies. If there's a large surplus of goods, the companies will have to export the rest of the goods, which means they have to pay the transportation cost. When producing resources, there are a few factors, which are price, weight, and space. Price will refer to the cost of a resource, and it will then determine how many resources a household can buy. Weight is the physical weight of a resource, which will affect the transportation cost, and space directly affects the profitability of a resource due to the space needed to manufacture the good. Paradox Interactive wanted to add more depth to City Skylines 2. They did so by revamping specialized industry. They still have natural resources such as fertile land, forest, ore, and oil, but they did add more specialized industries, and they have a total of 9 in City Skylines 2, such as livestock farming, grain farming, vegetable farming, cotton farming, forestry, stone mining, coal/ore mining, and oil. You will also be able to understand your city's economic state through the economy panel, which will allow you to access your budgeting tab, which will allow you to quick glance at your city's revenue, expenses, and its current monthly balance. You can also view loans, which will operate differently in City Skylines 2. Instead of free loans, you can now take one loan and adjust it or pay it off at will. The limit of what you can take goes up with each milestone. You will also be able to access the tax panel, which will allow you to change taxation of each zone type, which can be set in a range of -10% tax to 30% tax. You can also adjust the service budget from anywhere between 50% to 150%. You will also have a production tab, which will allow you to observe each material and material goods which your city is producing. Alright, that's all they had for us this week. Next week, we'll get some new information on game progression. I do want to say thank you for all the support recently. I'll continue keeping you guys updated on City Skylines 2 and Upper Game. I'll be releasing some information on Starfield this week alongside some Upper videos. So thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you guys next time.